Thanks for joining in on my Lena D Wellness Challenge. I know it's going to be so much fun, and I hope that you get a lot out of it. I designed this challenge so you can do it in any month of the year. You also have the option of repeating the challenge as many times as you like. If you complete it twice in 1 month, that will equal to 30 days. Each round of this wellness challenge will begin with high-intensity interval training. It is a timed workout that alternates between movement, which is also referred to as the work segment of the workout, followed by a brief period of rest. To make it easier on you, download a Tabata app. It is a timer that will keep track of when you should start and stop each exercise. You can set the number of seconds for the work portion, the rest portion, and number of rounds according to the number of exercises in a complete set. In this case, there will be a total of 8 rounds as there are 8 exercises. It's common to have the work portion be set at 20 seconds and the rest section at 10. Feel free to adjust according to your needs and abilities. Now it's time for the HIIT workout. You'll be doing the following exercises: Superman, plank, with the option of alternating between high and low plank, side plank on the right, with the option to rotate your torso, side plank on the left, also with the option to rotate, pulsing squats, single leg deadlifts on the left, followed by single leg deadlifts on the right. The final exercise in this group are mountain climbers with the option to do plank jacks. The order of the exercises do not matter. You can switch it up from each round if you choose. Just make sure that you do all 8 movements. You want to do a warm-up to prepare your body before you begin. We will begin with joint rotations, where you will rotate each joint in both directions, beginning with your neck, followed by your shoulders, your elbow joints, your wrists, your hips, your knees, and last but not least, your ankles. If for some reason you have trouble balancing yourself, you may place your hands on a stable surface for support. Next, you'll do some dynamic stretches, which are also known as moving stretches. We'll start with frontal leg swings. Inhale in through your nose before you swing, and then exhale out of your mouth as you bring your toe towards your hands. Do your best to keep your palms at shoulder height. It's okay if your toes do not touch your palms, however. Just continue this for 10 repetitions on each leg. Now you'll do lateral leg swings. Bring your hands out to your sides at shoulder height. Take an inhale in through your nose, and then exhale as you bring your right toe to your left palm. Inhale that toe down, and then exhale your left toe to your right palm. You'll repeat this for up to 10 repetitions on each side. Windmills are next. Stand with your feet at hip distance apart. And then take your hands to your opposite toe. Inhaling in through your nose as you stand, and exhaling out of your mouth as you reach down. Do up to 10 repetitions on each side. Air squats are next. Take your feet hip distance apart, turning your toes slightly out on a diagonal. Press down through your heels of your feet and pull your belly in towards your back. When you're ready, take an inhale and lower your hips down toward the floor, keeping your chest up and your head up toward the ceiling or sky. Then exhale to stand, pushing down through your heels. Do this for 20 to 30 repetitions. Avoid locking out your knee joints. They should be slightly bent. Next, we'll do a bridge. Lie down on your back on a mat or a towel. Then bend your knees as much as you can, doing your best to get your heels close to your hips. Try to touch the back of your heels with your fingertips. But if you're unable to, that's perfectly okay. Your feet should be placed on a surface hip distance apart. Set a timer for 30 to 60 seconds. And when you're ready, inhale in through your nose, lifting your hips up toward the ceiling or sky. Pressing down through your heels, squeezing your leg muscles, drawing your belly in toward your spine, and continuing to breathe in through your nose and exhale out of your mouth. Hold this pose until the timer goes off. The last warm-up exercise will be jumping jacks. Stand with your feet slightly apart and your hands by your side. Take an inhale in through your nose, and then exhale, taking your palms to touch above your head and taking your feet slightly wider than your hips. You'll be doing this simultaneously. Then inhale, bringing your arms to your side and your feet together. You'll repeat this for 30 to 40 reps. I'll now go over the form for each movement. I'll begin with the Superman. Make your way onto your belly with your arms extended out in front of you and your legs straight out behind you. Allow your forehead to touch your mat or towel. Begin taking an inhale in through your nose, and as you exhale out of your mouth, lift your arms and legs simultaneously. You should feel a contraction in your back, glutes, hamstrings, and calf muscles. On your next inhale breath, lower down your arms, face, and legs back onto the mat or towel. Keep repeating this until the timer goes off. Next, we have what's called a plank. A plank works your core muscles. I will demo 3 variations of planks. A full plank can be done with your palms pressed down into the mat or towel, with your shoulders directly in line with your wrists, with your legs extended back behind you. You want to create a straight line through your body from the crown of your head all the way down to your feet. Draw your belly in toward your spine and send the front of your pelvis up towards your belly button. You also want to make sure that you are engaging your leg muscles, your quadriceps in the front of your thighs, your hamstrings in the back of your thighs, as well as your glute muscles. Pull them in as tight as you can toward your bones. You want to avoid your hips being too high or too low. You also want to leave a slight bend in your elbows. For the high to low alternating plank, this is a more advanced option. To do this plank, you will simply lower one arm down at a time, coming onto your forearms. Just like in a full plank, you will tuck your hips under, draw in your belly, and squeeze your thighs and glutes. Be sure to switch between your right and left arms when moving from high to low plank. For example, lower down on the right, then lower down on the left, press up on the left, press up on the right, lower down on the left, lower down on the right, press up on the right, press up on the left. This ensures that you are exercising both of your arms evenly. A modified plank can be done kneeling. Just like a full plank, your palms will be shoulder width distance apart, with your shoulders in line with your wrists. You want your knees back far enough to ensure that your hips will be in a straight line. Otherwise, you'll have a slight bend in your hips. If you need support underneath your knees, you can use something soft like a towel. The next exercise that I will demo are mountain climbers. You will begin in plank form, and then you will alternate. Don't feel pressure to go at a speed that isn't suitable for you. If you have to move at a slow pace, do that. Bringing your knees up toward your face, picking up the tempo that's appropriate for you. Being sure to plant the ball of your foot on the floor, mat, or towel throughout this exercise. There's also the option to take your knees across toward the opposite elbow, which will rotate your torso slightly. The other option that you have are plank jacks. Just like mountain climbers, you will begin in full plank form. However, instead of bringing your knees towards your face, you will take your feet apart, hopping slightly wider than your hips, and then hopping your toes back toward the center. Keep hopping back and forth until the timer goes off. Next up is the side plank. Side planks target your oblique muscles. For this plank, you may either start on your right or left side. Place your palm on the surface that you're using, making sure that your shoulder is directly over your wrist. Extend your legs long, stacking your top foot over your bottom foot, or taking your front foot to the surface just a few inches out in front. The modified version of this plank is to support yourself with the knee that is closest to the floor. Your top leg, however, will be extended out long. When it's time to start, lift your hip up toward the sky or ceiling so that your spine is in a straight line, lined up from the crown of your head all the way through to your feet. You want to avoid your hips falling too low or being too high. For the rotating option, you will extend your top hand up toward the sky or ceiling. You'll take an inhale in through your nose, and as you exhale out of your mouth, you'll take your top hand underneath your torso, reaching toward the back of your mat or towel. This will rotate your torso slightly toward the surface beneath you. On your next inhale, rotate your torso back to the starting position while bringing your top hand back toward the sky or ceiling. To help maintain your balance, be sure to keep your eyes on that top hand. What you do on one side, you must do on the other. So follow the same guidelines on the opposite side. Pulsing squats are next. You will start in standard squat position with your feet hip width distance apart, with your toes pointed slightly out in a diagonal. You'll take an inhale in through your nose, lowering down your hips and pressing down through your heels. On your exhale, you will lift your hips about an inch or so and then lower them back down, doing your best to get your thighs as parallel to the ground as you possibly can. With each inhale, you are lowering down your hips to parallel. And with each exhale, you are lifting just an inch or so. Do your best not to stand all the way up. Stay in this lowered position until the timer goes off. It might be tough, but I know you can do it. Be sure to continue breathing and engaging your core by drawing your belly toward your back. For the single leg deadlift, you will stand on one foot with your toes pointing out in front, pressing down through your heels. Your opposite foot can be placed gently on the ground if necessary, or lifting your toe a few inches behind you. Create a slight bend in your knee. You do not want to lock out your joints. Take an inhale in through your nose and lower your hand towards your toes. You may be able to touch either your toe or the floor, or maybe reach down toward your shin. Either of those options are perfectly fine. On the exhale, you will squeeze your hamstrings and glutes and slowly bring yourself up back to standing. This challenges your core. This challenges your balance. So continue to draw your belly in, squeeze your leg muscles, and keep your breath. If you find that your foot touches the floor, that's pretty okay. If you need to find a stable surface to support you, you may do that as well. To help with your balance, you have the option of reaching toward the floor or touching your toe With your opposite hand, bringing that same side knee up towards your hip, flexing your toes, and bringing the opposite hand up towards your face, as if you're in running position, with both elbows at 90 degrees. By using this technique, along with drawing in your belly, pulling in your leg muscles, and pressing down through your heel, will all help to create stability during this exercise. Repeat the same thing on the opposite foot. Each movement will be done consecutively. Here I am demonstrating what that will look like. Repeat this 3 to 4 times, giving yourself at least 60 seconds of rest before starting the next round. Be sure to drink some water during this break. After you've completed all of your rounds, it's time to cool down. We will do this with static stretches, also known as holding stretches. Let's start with seated hamstring stretches. Come seated on your mat or towel, taking your legs apart. Take an inhale in through your nose, and then exhale and reach for your right toe without overextending your arm or shoulder. You'll hold this for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, you'll reach for your left toe. Again, without overextending. You'll hold this for 30 seconds as well. Bring your legs and feet together out in front of you. Take an inhale in through your nose, and then exhale and fold forward. Let go of your neck. And continue to breathe here for 30 seconds. Next, roll onto your belly for Cobra pose. This will stretch your core. Bring your feet together and palms by your sides, touching your mat or towel. And then inhale and lift your head up toward the sky or ceiling. You should feel some stretching in your abdominal region. Breathe here for 30 seconds. And then twist slightly to the right for another 30 seconds. What we do on one side, we must do on the other. So now twist to the left and hold here for 30. Next, you'll take child's pose to stretch your back. Bend your knees and take your hips as wide as they can. Bring your big toes as close together as possible. And then walk your hands out in front of you as far as they will go. Take your forehead down to your mat or towel. And then next, take your hips down toward your toes. Breathe in this pose for 30 seconds. The remainder of the stretches will be done standing. We'll start with your quad stretch. You may support yourself on a stable surface if you have trouble holding your balance. Grab your ankle with your palm or wrap a towel around your ankle if you find it difficult to reach. Then bring your heel toward your glute muscles. Holding this, you guessed it, for 30 seconds. Switch and do the same thing on the opposite leg. Lastly, you'll stretch your tricep muscles. Take your right arm across your body and then bring your left arm in front, taking your left fingertips up toward the ceiling or sky. Hold this for 30 seconds and then switch to the opposite side. Bringing your left arm across your body and right fingertips up toward the ceiling or sky. Congrats! You've just completed day 1 of the challenge. And you should feel very proud of yourself. To keep your workouts interesting throughout the remainder of the challenge, try increasing the work portion by a few seconds, while either keeping the rest portion the same or increasing that by a few seconds as well. You'll be surprised at what you can accomplish when you challenge yourself. Well, that's it for today. Be sure to hydrate for the remainder of the day and eat some nutritious foods.